You mentioned Amrita, of course. What about A.B. Purani?
Oh, Puraniji, how can I say? Today, if you are praising me for being the person to have written about Savitri first, chosen Savitri as her doctoral subject first, that is entirely due to Puraniji. Would you like to know the story behind it?
Please.
In 1957, when I had finished my um, graduate course, I decided I will become a doctor like my father. I will take a PhD, then become a professor, and so on. That kind of dreams of a 18, 19-year-old. So I was that, and father said 1954 the university edition had come of Savitri. So father said, why don't you take Savitri? I told, in all my wisdom, I was very wise at that time. When you are young, you are always wise. I said, who will understand Savitri? No, Appa, my thesis will go to 3 professors in England, not even America. Because our Andhra University followed the Oxford pattern and they had to be given the signal, right signal by professors from England only, not even America. And no English professor will give a degree for a thesis on Savitri. Father never compelled me. That was his greatness.
But you wanted to write on someone else.
I know. He never compelled, all right. Then on whom are you going to write? That you have shown me the way, Appa. You wrote about Lytton Strachey, I will write about Virginia Woolf. You should, I know, it's like R.L. Stevenson says, if one wants to become perfect, one should play the sedulous ape. I was a sedulous ape. Whatever Appa did, I wanted to do. So I chose Virginia Woolf, and then I got some money from father because I want to prepare immediately. I want to complete my work on the day, dotted time. We are given 3.5 years at the time. So I went and bought a whole lot of collected works of Virginia Woolf, which had been just then published by Leonard Woolf in his Hogarth press. So I was very happy, all yellow covered books. I kept them very neatly. What happens but Puraniji turns up in Visakhapatnam. He came there to give a couple of lectures. He and father were friends, and Puraniji came and stayed in our house. So the first lecture, he spoke in front of 800 to 1,000 students of Andhra University in our Erskine Square open air auditorium. It was known as Erskine Square open air auditorium. At that time it was quite famous. And the place is stuffed with the students. My father is worried. They may create trouble because Sri Aurobindo, who will understand? That was the problem with everybody, these fellows. And Puraniji, on the first day, he gets up after father's introduction. He starts reciting from Rabindranath Tagore's Urvashi. Everywhere, you know how Puraniji used to speak like this. And he will end it with Urvashi, he will say. And he said this, these are lines written by one of our greatest poets, Rabindranath Tagore. You are all lucky people. Tagore came here and gave a lecture. And all the boys and girls were fascinated, and Puraniji had them in their pocket. So the lecture went off well. Next day he spoke on Savitri. The next day he was to leave. So evening after dinner, we were all talking, and we were asking questions. He was asking us questions. So he asked my brother, Ambirajan, Ambi, what do you want to do? I am doing my economics MA honors. Now I have finished my MA honors. I am doing my PhD on, I think, Malthus he was doing. All right, Prema, what are you going to do? Oh, I am doing my PhD, sir. I was so proud of my PhD. I am doing my PhD. What's that? Doctor of Philosophy I am going to become. And you want to become PhD and, of course, a professor like father. Then my father, he could not control himself. Purani, I remember the scene so well. They were sitting saying, Purani, she says she is going to work on Virginia Woolf. She says she cannot understand Savitri, as though she is going to understand Virginia Woolf. I mean, no ego can be flattened completely like this. In front of Puraniji, he is saying this, and of course, Purani became very angry. How dare you reject Savitri? When your father is there to explain every line, and he gave me a good dressing down. I never before had such a dressing down, nor after. I quietly listened. The next morning, I went to the registrar's office and changed my subject. You could do that in those days. The 1 year was not out. So there was still time for registrar to sign finally. So registrar was a friend, K.V. Gopalaswamy. So he signed it. That's how I became the first to do a doctoral work on Savitri, the first person to do so. So Puraniji has a very important place in my life. From that day till today, Savitri has been my life. That father saw to it that Savitri. And later he told me, you see, you are doing this subject and this will improve the quality of your life. Any other subject is not going to improve the quality of your life. That's what he said. How true. And every morning, like my childhood, now I was a doctoral student, I used to walk with him and he would explain the lines. And he will choose some aspect, book of fate or the book of love. And every day, almost every day, morning 4:35, my mother will give you a cup of tea. Both of us will start from Andhra University and take the long walk to Ramakrishna Beach. It is on the Bay of Bengal. By the time we reached the beach, it was the time before the gods awake. Appa would have started. He knew the entire symbol down by heart. So it was the time before the gods awake. He would come reciting with me, and we would sit there. Then he would show every line how the entire magic is taking place. This is how Sri Aurobindo has seen it. See how the colors change. And dawn built her aura of magnificent colors, hues.
Yes.
And it would be all red, orange and all that. In between he will recite from Thought the Paraclete, the orange skies of the mystic mind, he will say, something like this. So you see, I was sort of dipped into Savitri again.
Immersed, yes,
Like
yes.
And then he would, that is why he named my daughter Ahana when she was born, because Ahas comes immediately after Ushas. We were watching the Usha, that is the symbol dawn. So this is how he taught me almost every line of Sri Aurobindo, Savitri. And from that day till today, what he said has come to be true. Maybe he did not want me to become a professor or take up a salaried job. He must have been very, very far. Once he told me, why do you want to become a teacher? You will have to correct so many answer papers. You know, we come from a family which used to feed people and teach them. But unfortunately, I have to take up a job to get a salary. Unfortunately, your brother, being a man, has to take up a job and get a salary. But it is not your karma. Why don't you enjoy your life reading good literature? And I tell you, Narad, that's exactly what I have done.
How beautiful. Huh?
And I have never taken a salaried job. And another thing he said, why do you want to bow to so many people? It is enough if you do salam to one man, which there has not been any occasion to do that. As long as my husband doesn't say, I have to salam to you. So anyway, it has been, luck also plays its part. It was lucky that I married a person who is after my heart. That is it. It was an arranged marriage, but it so happened. But how deep was father into Savitri, I noted 1 year after my marriage. Exactly 1 year. I was married in 58, August. 59 August, a few days after 1 year was over. One day he is telling my mother, Abada, I was very much worried having given her Savitri as a subject. Now it's because that 1 year, this one for Satyavan, it seems to have worked in his mind so much.
Yes.
And you would be surprised. My husband was about to board a train which had a serious accident at that time from, I think, some place near Kharagpur to Jamshedpur or something like that. So we really do not know how things work. So how can I tell you? I think Dilip Kumar Rai was right in naming, giving the title "Miracles Do Still Happen," but probably not miracle. It is the way the mother works, right?
Yes.
She decides this is your life, and it has been a wonderful life.
I have Dilip's book, Sri Aurobindo Came to Me, 1 rupee.
Yes.
The original edition, it was 1 rupee. How beautiful. Now,
Dilip-
Harindranath Chattopadhyay was also quite a
Yes.
poet, eh?
He was quite a good boy.
Yeah. And received inspiration from mother. I'm
Definitely.
told that he would go below the terrace and mother would dump a basket of flowers on his head and he would go back and type poetry all day. So,
Quite
now tell us
possible.
about your meeting with mother.
My own meeting with the mother, I had darshan of her from childhood. When our father brought me, I remember clutching a handful of blue. This one which Shankar Gowda gave me. First time I came, Shankar Gowda was here. Then we used to come for darshan once or twice. When my thesis was accepted, my father gave a message. So before sending the thesis to the examiners, there were 3 from England. Professor Vivian D. Sola Pinto, Professor White, and another Dr. Philip. Before sending handing over the thesis to the Andhra University registrar, I sent the first copy to the mother. Remember that? She remembered that. When my father sent a message that I had got my PhD, she was very happy. She immediately asked Nalnida to, I think at that time, probably Pandit was in charge, I don't know, Pandit probably. Pandit to take out that first copy and called K.D. Setana to go through the entire manuscript and suggest any corrections or improvements. And that she gave the order to be published immediately by the ashram. This came as a news from, news from heaven for me.
To be published by the ashram.
By the ashram. She told immediately it has to be published. I understand from what K.D. Satna said to me privately that she wanted it to be done because that was the first time an academic recognition had come to Savitri. Savitri was already recognized as a great poem. But at the academic level, you will understand Narad, till today they are resisting. Till today, the Indian universities are resisting. So she said, Setna told that she was happy this had happened. So maybe she thought that it would go to, it would have further. And that has happened. Savitri is being taken for doctoral research by many people. Hundreds of theses
I've
are now
seen,
there.
yes.
One of the main thing is we can quote at length. Your book becomes, I mean, to put it in a light manner. Whatever it is, when she asked for it to be published, I was a UGC research fellow. So this thesis was done under UGC's research help. I even applied for a grant. And you will be glad to know they had started giving grants for theses which were accepted by examiners. The thesis written by UGC scholars. So I applied, and Savitri was the first to get such a grant. Way back in 1962, 61, 62, a long time back. So mother was very happy. Then she expressed a wish that she wanted to see me. She knew that I am Iyengar's daughter. Yes?
Yeah.
I want to see Srinivasa's daughter. Then father brought me here. I was, I think, at Ranchi, I think. He asked me to come. We came here. And we went in. At that time, definitely Pandit was there. We were put in that Golconda. I mean, I don't know what I expected from the mother. I mean, when I saw the mother, it's so good. One thing I remember very clearly, father goes in the front, I am at his back. The sweetest voice I have heard in this world, saying, Srinivasa, you have been long. It is a long time since I saw you. I who have seen father never shed tears. Never shed tears. Except once when he came to the village, learning by telegram that his father was very sick, he should come immediately. He came immediately. In those days, it took 1.5 days to come from Belgaum, to 2 days. By the time he came, my grandfather had expired and they had cremated the body. In those tiny villages, they won't keep the body for long because the temple cannot be opened unless the body was cremated. And people could go without food, but prasad had to be offered to God. And you cannot make him go hungry for a long time. So he came in, he saw his mother, he burst into tears. I was maybe 10 years old. So it was some strange sight to me because father was very stern, always typing, not talking much, speaking only to his brother so much. And after so many years, I saw him in 63, I think. No, 62.
Before mother.
62, 63. When she said that, it's long time since I saw you. Anyway, they were conversing. Then I was asked to go into the front. I did pranam. And then she looked so deep into my eyes. But one thing, if somebody looks so deeply at your eyes, you should feel afraid, isn't it? Oh, she's trying to find out something. I didn't have anything. I felt she was just like my paternal grandmother looking at me. I was very fond of my paternal. No, Party Madri, she's like my grandmother. And one or two questions she asked. I answered, single terms I answered. Then they were speaking about something else. It was for 25 minutes.
Oh.
So then she gave me the symbols of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. It's in brass with a rose, a red rose. So I came out. When I came out and went back to my house in Ranchi, I put them in my jewel box. They are still there. I assure you they are more precious to me than my jewels. And this was my meeting. Later I used to come very rarely because I had children. I could not come from some far away places. Whenever I came, I used to have balcony darshan. That I never missed. If I came here, I had balcony. I never could come exactly on darshan days, but balcony darshan I had twice or thrice. 1973, November, there is a seminar on Sri Aurobindo going on in Andhra University, Visakhapatnam, where I am to speak, where father was to deliver the main lecture, where Navjataji had come, Aster had come. Then the news came, Sri Aurobindo, the mother had left her body. So Navjata, somehow they got a seat in the plane and they sent away Aster and Navjata. And I came to the railway station with my husband to send off my father. Father had to go to Madras and pick up my mother and then come to Pondicherry. So it was a very, very sad moment for me because I had never seen father so grim and so lost. I wouldn't say grim. I think he felt lost a little. And he sighed. She gave me permission and then she has withdrawn. She had given permission for him to rewrite her biography. Here, 1972, she was very happy when this new biography was published, new biography of Sri Aurobindo.
Of Sri, the big one that I have, yes.
So they wanted a companion volume for
Yes.
mother also. So he wrote to mother, and she gave permission. Then of course she Mahasamadhi. But I remember when he was working on the mother, this new biography, he was in Madras, in his house, upstairs house. The upstairs house was full of benches, tables, everywhere files, files, files. This is the first chapter. Saying Panditji had come there to see father in that house. I remember that Panditji, he was showing, no, this is mother, this is the first chapter, this is the third chapter, this is the eighth chapter. Books everywhere. It is a small house. Then it seems Panditji told Shankar Narayanan, where is mother gone? She is there in the upstairs of Sri Aurobindo, upstairs of Iyengar's house. He is doing mother's yoga, do you know that? He said. And that was true. Father's entire life was mother's yoga, and he dedicated his creative writings to her. The first book, Sitayana, is dedicated to the mother. So, and the Tryst with the Divine, the long poem he wrote, that is only on mother. How do you come face to face with the mother? What are your reactions? How do you recognize the divine? That is the first thing. Am I face to face the divine? They look like any other ordinary person, isn't it? Then suddenly they take on the divine hue. How does it happen? And the last day he comes for the balcony darshan, his last balcony darshan that he has described. And then of course when he comes to see the mother, after she has withdrawn from her body, he comes with my mother, that he has described. That is entirely about the mother. Tryst with the divine.
You said your father spoke only what was necessary to speak.
Yes.
He only spoke what was necessary to speak.
He never wasted his words. That one thing I think I am not like my father. He talked too much. I suppose different people are made in a different way.
So tomorrow you're going to give the Nadkarni Memorial Lecture.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. Because Nadkarni ji was not like anybody else for us. He was another person who totally merged with our family. In this sense, my father was tall and fair. Nadkarni ji was like that. And my father was very fond of him and he used to call him my elder son. And so was Meera, so dear to my parents. And I remember, Nadkarni ji is interviewing my father for Doordarshan in Delhi ashram. They are sitting on the lawn and they are being interviewed. They are being filmed like he is doing, and then Nadkarni ji is asking questions and father is answering. Meera is standing with my mother a little far away. So she tells my mother, Auntie, don't they look like father and son? And my mother said, why do you say don't they look like? They are father and son. Your husband is my elder son. Like that. So they were so close like that. And naturally I had a very close association with Nadkarni ji. In fact, I began giving talks on Savitri in Telugu language because of Nadkarni ji.
Because of him?
Nadkarni ji's mother tongue was not Telugu. My mother tongue is not Telugu, but I know Telugu enough to speak. We were together in a convention in Yeluru, I think. And that day, there was a big crowd. And Nadkarni ji was speaking, and I think Narang ji and others. And the local collector. 4 or 5 people, they went on speaking in English. The problem with that kind of crowd is, they are all silent, they are all quiet, they are full of devotion, but they do not know the language. So except for the front 2 or 3 lines, Nadkarniji was a very capable speaker because he could find out whether the audience is interested in the talk or not. So he realized these people were shuffling, that means they're not able to follow. They're full of devotion, but they're not able to follow. And so he turns to me, he says, Prema, you are the last person to speak. You are going to speak in Telugu. I'm afraid all that we have said has gone above the head of most of the people. You please tell them something about Sri Aurobindo and the mother. So that is how I began speaking in Telugu. Of course, I began with a quotation from Potana, their great Telugu poet. So once you quote Potana, all Andhras, they become very happy. And I am also very happy because that's a beautiful book on Bhagavatam he has written. And they followed very carefully. So they gave me a good ovation. Then Nadkarniji said, I order you to speak in Telugu whenever you come to Andhra Pradesh. So that's how I became a Telugu speaker. Then it so happened, we were both doing this Nainital camps of Delhi Ashram. He would come for this week, next week I would be there, like this. We were speakers in the camps. And elsewhere in Madras, he had retired and come to Pondicherry. So occasionally the Tamil groups will ask him to come and speak. And he had that presence. And he could recite Savitri so well. And he became known as a Savitri speaker. Mm-hmm. I will tell you one thing. For a while, both Nadkarniji and myself, we came to be known as speakers on Savitri. You know, I will tell you one thing. See what you see here. Nirodha has written.
Oh, to Prema Nandakumar with Sri Aurobindo's blessings. Love, Nirodha.
And I asked Nirodha, because whenever I went to the Samadhi, I would meet him. I want something from you, I want your autograph. Then he said, I have nothing. No, I want something from you. He said, I have nothing. I'm a beggar. I have given everything to Sri Aurobindo. I said, what have you given? You have again taken him and put him in your pocket. That was a great thing with the sadhaks of Sri Aurobindo. You could speak and smile and laugh, and you could feel sunny about it. Not somber. Yoga means, yogi means serious. No. So this is what he said. Then, of course, he signed this. Then he told me one thing. Prema, this is in 94?
96.
96. Then he said something interesting. Prema, after Purani and Iyengar passed away, two people who are consistently speaking about Savitri are Nadkarni and yourself. Please don't give it up. Such a great sadhak saying this. I said, where is Nadkarniji? Where am I? He recites so beautifully. That is, for each person a special gift is given. Don't worry about that. But please don't give up speaking about Savitri. I said, I won't give up. Nadkarniji won't give up. Till last moment he was speaking about Savitri. So it is with a heavy heart that I have accepted. Of the two whom Nirodha singled out, again, I remain. Yeah. It's mother's will. I really don't know Nirodha. I came to the mother by two sentences which were being constantly used by my parents. Suppose something untoward had happened. Some wrong result had come. Enna pandrathu, mother's will, that's all. They would say, what to do? It's mother's will. Let us go about our work. But if something happy had happened, oh, it is mother's grace. They would be all smiles when saying grace, but they will grow somber. As a child, I did not understand. Later on, I went on thinking about it. I think this is how mother structures us. Mother's will is she sculpts us by giving us sorrows, disappointments. I've had my share of them. But if you have total faith in the mother, these sorrows become your strength. These failures. I had applied for a job, for a reader's post. Then I was rejected. Because the registrar's daughter-in-law had to be accommodated as a lecturer. For one moment I felt unhappy. I should not have applied. Of course, I did not feel that unhappy. I was quite happy. Thank God I'm relieved, because otherwise my father would have been angry. Somehow the local professor said, you apply, I applied. Anyway, that's a different story. And that day I think I felt sad. Oh, I am so highly educated, already 5 books to my credit, writing in the Swarajya, Rajaji's own paper. You feel, it is only as you grow older that you realize you have got so many limitations. The younger you are, the stronger you feel, the wiser you feel. Then my father wrote a card. I have got the card with me still. Prema, you are my ugly duckling. Which father will write? Wouldn't he be unhappy with the system which has rejected his daughter who has written on Savitri? He writes, you are my ugly duckling. What is your next work? This is what he writes. So, the sorrow sculpts you. The defeat, the failure, it gave me the greater willpower. I must do something with my life. I must read Savitri and I must become a good speaker. That is one thing. But grace is what gives you encouragement, like the smile. Come, you have taken 2 steps, another 1 step you come forward. Do you think it's right?
Yes.
So I won't be unhappy or this one, that Natkarniji is no more in the physical. He was like an elder brother to me, very close. There are so many instances when we have interacted in seminars and all that. But to have known a person like him, always sunny, smiling. What, Prema, ready for a morning walk? Because when we used to go to these conventions, we will be in the hostel or something. He will go with his shorts on, he will go for a morning walk. And as we walked, we would usually 10 groups, a group of 10 or 12 people who had come as delegates to the conference. He would start reciting Savitri in his wonderful voice. So to have known that, to think of that memory, that will keep me going, isn't it?
Yes.
So how many people have that luck? So let us count our blessings, and I tell you, my blessings are many. That is entirely due to the mother and Sri Aurobindo. Even this, talking to you, Narad, it's such a beautiful name. Without Rishi Narad, where is Savitri? Right?
Could you read a few lines for us?
Sure. That is in my sing-song tone, not Oxford accent, not Cambridge accent. I will read a very favorite passage.
Good.
I mean, all are favorite passages, but this is the very, very, very favorite passage. Satyavan and Savitri have met. Each now was a part of the other's unity. The world was but their twin self-finding scene, or their own wedded being's vaster frame. On the high glowing cupola of the day, fate tied a knot with morning's halo threads, while by the ministry of an auspicious hour, heart bound before the sun, their marriage fire, the wedding of the eternal Lord and spouse, took place again on earth in human terms, in human forms. In a new act of the drama of the world, the united two began a greater age. In the silence and murmur of that emerald world, and the mutter of the priest wind's sacred verse, amid the choral whispering of the leaves, love's twain had joined together and grew one. The natural miracle was wrought once more. The natural miracle, he says. In the immutable ideal world, one human moment was eternal made. But why does he say, on the high glowing cupola of the day? Which shows that Sri Aurobindo was thorough with the Shastras. You know, when a Vedic wedding is planned, ours was a Vedic wedding, and where the Vedic chants are given. The moment of this actual marriage, this tying of the Mangala Sutra, that is counted according to the star of the bride, it should accommodate the star of the bride, the star of the bridegroom. It should be auspicious, it should be Friday or Wednesday, something like that. And the Rahu Kalam should not be there. We have got this Rahu Kalam and all that. It should not be there and all that. But there is one Muhurta which is known as Abhijit Muhurta. That is 12 noon. When the wedding is fixed for 12 o'clock noon, wedding time is fixed like that. For that you need not see any comparison of the horoscopes or stars and all that. It is known as Abhijit Muhurta. So you see the sudden marriage, but it takes place in an auspicious hour. Though the Muhurtam has not been fixed, it has been fixed by the divine because it is midday sun. And here itself we know that Savitri is going to succeed in that test of Satya regaining Satyavan's life. Don't you think so?
The high glowing cupola.
Cupola of the day. Why does he say that? He could have said, as the breeze blew sweetly, something you could have said romantically. There's nothing romantic about this, that it means right behind, beneath that hot sun. When he says high glowing cupola of the day, it must have been hot like Pondicherry, isn't it? But he says that. So I have a feeling every line of Savitri has to be studied with so much care, and one's life is so short. But doesn't matter. We are never separated. We will be born again and come back to Savitri. We will study again. So that way I am glad. I feel it a privilege to speak about Savitri in the Nadkarni Memorial Lecture tomorrow, because for him Savitri was beautiful. That he was born to recite Savitri. I have written somewhere. Nadkarni ji was born to recite Savitri. There was something in his voice, right?
What about your father's recitation of Savitri?
Father's recitation was of a different type. His was a voice which would not rise at all. It was a very quiet, it was a pleasant, quiet voice. But it would rise only when there was a need to rise, not always. Whereas Nadkarni ji had that powerful voice. Father's was not a powerful voice, but a very clear voice sort of thing. It would speak very clearly. You could hear him very clearly. What is this? Who is this? The flame born. That he would suddenly shout. Like Rishi Narad says, who is this? The flame born.
Who comes? The flame born, yes.
Who is this that comes? The flame born.
Yeah.
So in those few dramatic places he would say, he would rise. Otherwise, I don't think he was not exactly dull. He did not want to miss out any word. See, I miss so many words because though I keep reading Savitri, when I speak of it again, I miss some words. But he would never do that. He was so thorough with it. And when he read like this, as so he grew into his larger self, humanity framed his movements less and less. A greater being saw a greater world. This was the rise that you would. A greater being saw a greater world. A fearless will for knowledge dared to erase the lines of safety reason draws that bar minds soar, souls dive into the infinite. So his would be clear. For me, it has become a little bit difficult now to read also clearly because I have lost vision in the left eye. So sometimes it becomes narrow. I have to have it as a very big type and all that. Otherwise, I think reading Savitri is, I don't know how to say. I feel happy reading Savitri. Is that okay?
Yes. Yes.
I don't think there is, of course, there is philosophy. There is so much, you can write so much about each and every line. But there's, as I told an audience once, there are lots of poets writing in English. In fact, there are more poets writing in English than readers of poetry.
Oh, no
So
doubt.
many books are published because all the time I have to review those books, they come. But the one book, probably next to the Bible, which is being read in English by a maximum number of persons today, is probably Savitri. You give some thought to it.
Yes. Let's take
So-
a little break for a few minutes and we'll begin again.